Lee Sun-mong has stretched his bow and is ready to shoot the apple. As the arrow is shot by Sun-mong, the candidate who is standing holding the melon on his head, with fear bends down, and the target is missed. Lee Sun-mong, being disappointed in the act of the opponent, says, "What? Why running the fun?" The candidate that has fallen on the ground starts to make pleading to Lee Sun-mong that I unwillingly caused this, please give me a chance. Where one of the guards standing behind him, crushing the one red feathered arrow by him, announces that in the second test, the first candidate Manduk failed. After the first candidate, other comes to the spot of holding the melon on their head, but one by one they all failed the test due to fear. Some say that they have already accepted defeat, and others bent down, missing the target. The guard announces that the 16th candidate Buxy failed. The chief proctor and Gwiyoung area are also present on the field where the second test for the selection of royal forces is happening. The chief proctor says, after seeing the continuous failure of the candidate, that he doesn't know if they will get anyone that will pass here, or should I say that this is so typical of General Lee Sun-mong. Whereas the concern of Lee Sun-mong is seen, he looks at the candidate while drinking more alcohol from the vessel and says to them, "Pathetic fools," what he has expected from such fearful fools. "No, this is not, but that you all have little faith in me? Why the hell is this easy thing? Why can't you act like that?" He asks the next candidate to come, who may be the first one to come and pass. Among the silence in the remains of the candidates, Dumak says while holding his arrow in his hand, "I will do." Seeing Dumak perform the task, Gwiyoung asks Dumak, "Will you be alright?" He replies to him, fully confident in his action, "Don't worry, there is a way." Lee Sun-mong says to him, "I like your confidence," and take his position. Dumak, while moving towards the spot of action, says to himself that there's a way to win in every test, and I have seen through this time very well. As by nature fear is derived from visual information, the person shooting the arrow is none other than Lee Sun-mong, and it will not miss the target. If that's the case, it is solved. I will not look at it. Dumak stands turning his back towards Lee Sun-mong and holding the melon in his hands as high as the head. Seeing such a genius move done by Dumak, Gwiyoung praises him and says that as expected, Dumak, you are brilliant. Even those muscles looking at it also seem cool, isn't it? But Lee Sun-mong is not seen as much happy in this act and says with whole boredom on his face, "What a peculiar fool. Do as you please then." Dumak, while holding the melon in his hand and standing, realizes that he has made such a huge mistake. He says that I am in trouble. There is a variable that I didn't even account for because I can't see, and it's scarier. He says to Lee Sun-mong one moment he wants to change his posture, but as he was turning, the arrow hit the melon, and it broke down into chunks. He felt surprised that he had unintentionally gotten past where the remaining candidates started commenting that to turn around at the last moment, does this is even possible? What a fool. Dumak sits down to relax, and the chief proctor says to him, "Congratulations on passing, you did well." Lee Sun-mong, again having a sip from his vessel, says that it is good now they have a person who has passed, and asks the left candidates who will be the next one. Gwiyoung moves forward, and others get identified that he is the ghost shadows, asking each other that isn't he Gwiyoung? He comes out of the crowd and stands in front of the drunken Lee Sun-mong, who asks him, "Gwiyoung, why you are here?" He replied to his question that I had lost the jade plaque, and no one believed me. The discussion related to Gwiyoung continues, and participants ask each other in astonishment that Gwiyoung, that rascal, is the ghost shadow, where one of them asks, "What is this about?" Another one tells him that in the north he slaughters the barbarians left and right as he sees them, and he is very famous. The same individual asks him, in an astonished voice, does that little child is him? Dumak, also surprised at revealing the real identity of Gwiyoung, says, "I can't believe that Gwiyoung is that ghost's shadow. No wonder why it felt like I had heard his name somewhere." Truing towards Gwiyoung, he asks him if the story about the jade plaque was all real then, doesn't he? After hearing about the conversation about the jade plaque between the genera, Gwiyoung, the chief proctor goes to Lee Sun-mong and says that this child did speak of jade plaque, but he has to take part in the test as he doesn't have any proof, and because it's true, this child can be recruited immediately. Lee Sun-mong asks him to come on, "Do we?" Chief proctor, not understanding the comment of the general, asks him what he is trying to say. To make him understand, Lee Sun-mong says to him that, well, it is true that he doesn't have any jade plaque currently. Moreover, these sorts of tests have their own charm, don't they? Now, to be done with these things, let's just get this. Leave the arrow and go to your position, Gwiyoung, holding the arrow from his hands. Gwiyoung goes to the spot and puts the melon over the head of him. Dumak, while citing positioning Dumak, says that as expected of Lee Sun-mong, he is firm. Then again, there is no question there will be controversy over fairness if he gives preferential treatment towards Gwiyoung, who has lost the jade plaque. Lee Sun-mong, taking his bow to shoot the arrow and addressing Gwiyoung in his thoughts, says that consequently a decision for the sake of Gwiyoung. Take it easy. Relax, however, it seems like it will be so much fun though. I am curious about Ghost Shadow and how accurate my eyes are, referring to his finding Gwiyoung's hidden talent. Show me that talent of yours and shoot the arrow. Proctor, seeing the arrow coming, says that he is for sure that it is aiming for the head. Yujong says to him that it is intentional, it is not a mistake. Gwiyoung analyses the coming arrow towards, says that it is dangerous and I have to dodge it. Whereas Dumak, realizing his move, screams aloud that you will fail. If you dodge, Gwiyoung, endure it. But as the arrow was passing right behind his face, he dodged and caught it. While dodging, the candidate starts saying that he has dodged and failed, but after seeing him catch the flying arrow, their mouths are wide open with surprise on what they have seen, saying he catched the flying arrow with his hands. Not only candidates, but everyone on the field, including Dumak and Yujong, are surprised. Gwiyoung, not realizing that he has done something extraordinary, puts the arrow he has caught in the melon and asks, if I do like this, then can it be a pass? Lee Sun-mong, picking up the vessel from the guard, starts walking towards him, saying brilliant, absolutely brilliant on his move of catching the flying arrow. Moore says, of course, definitely, it is a pass. He's standing in front of Gwiyoung, says to him, you don't let me down. You are really something. Let's get this task and finish the rest. Already I am getting tired. And the next candidate comes, while keep on drinking alcohol. The next candidate has moved to the spot and is standing holding the melon high in his hands of him. Lee Sun-mong is still drinking. The chief proctor comes to him and says to him that, sir, let's finish the remainder of the test tomorrow, as I believe you have drunk a little too much. Answering the proctor, Lee Sun-mong says, what with just this much liquor? What do you think of me? However, I will finish it in a blink of an eye, so wait just a little bit, while aiming for the melon fully drunk. But the arrow is aimed at the center of the body, and the chief proctor, having analyzed the shot, screams loudly to the candidate holding the melon to dodge it. But the candidate didn't move an inch from his place, and the arrow just hit the center of his stomach, and he fell on his knee. Everyone is just shocked at what has happened now. Looking at what he has done, Lee Sun-mong says, I think I am done here, and goes to the injured candidate who is sitting on his knee and asks him, are you alright? He also bent down to see if the arrow had caused any serious injury, but after analyzing the wound, he said you are fine, as it avoided all the critical areas. You won't die, don't worry. Don't be so heartbroken since you have held it out well, you are. He was going to complete his sentence telling him that he had passed, but listening to him, he stopped before he had completed his statement. The injured candidate, barely enduring the pain, says that all the same, how all those who sit at the top of this nation treat the lives of the people like it's just a joke. You are all the same, starting with that damn king. Lee Sun-mong, after listening to his statement, says, while putting his hand towards the sword that is of the chief proctor standing behind him and pulling that sword and aiming towards his head, right now are you simultaneously insulting this nation's king, and as well as even myself? Even if I cut the 3 inches of your tongue here, I hope you will not feel wrong. Before Lee Sun-mong have made any move, he gets a hit right in his face by none other than General Yun-dok. Not being able to hold himself standing, he fell on the ground due to that hit. General Choi says to him, full of hatred, that Lee Sun-mong has at last, I will kill you here today and grovel for forgiveness to His Majesty tomorrow. General Choi Yun-dok, Joseon's best sword, is face to face with General Lee Sun-mong, Joseon's best archer.